Good morning, Monday morning. Here we are, week 4 of lockdown. Week 4 of lockdown. So, let me begin. So we've been looking at fear of change. We've been looking at fear of change for the last few weeks, as you have been assisting me rabble away. Good morning, Liz. And morning, Corella. So rather than staying in the fear of change, I think most of us can accept with the messages that I've had, etc., that we are terrified of change. Here is wee Ralph. Up. There's a good boy. So, if you feel trapped, do you feel stuck? Are you uncertain what to do? You might feel as if you're in quicksand, have a depression that saps all motivation, and even in some cases, our will to live. Now that forum, it can take many, but the underlying problem that we face is the same. This is for you, Liz. I'm doing the doggy in the path. So whatever it is you're feeling, it can take many forms, but the underlying problem is generally always the same. We're caught in an ongoing situation that we don't want to be in. Sometimes it can be unpleasant, or sometimes it can be downright horrible. But the worst thing about it is that it never seems to end, and you're not even sure if there's a way out of it. So, no matter what the situation is, there's always a way out of it. Even if it's not quite the way that you want it to be. And even if it's physically impossible to get out of the situation, if the problem's an incurable illness or something like that, there is still a way out of the misery, which is the real problem. The misery is our problem. Ralph, come on, everybody wants to see you, not me. Go on then. Where's the squirrels? So, the problem that most of us face is the misery. And that's what's at the heart of our challenges, right? So, it's never the situation itself, it's the association that we have to it, and it's the misery, right? Figuring out the specifics of how you break free is your task, and it's your responsibility, because there's no single method to fit every predicament. No matter what the outer details, there is one thing that everybody needs, and that's inner inspiration in order for us to adapt. An empowering frame of mind. I'm going to sit down here. That looks lovely up there, doesn't it? An empowering frame of mind that's going to allow us to take action. So if we can begin from this point, it can be helpful to take an honest inventory of what's currently presenting itself to you. So, are you drinking too much? Ralph? Ralph? So you're drinking too much? Do you feel isolated? Do you feel lost? Are you hurt a lot of the time? So what I would invite you to do now is just take a few moments and think here that these behaviours, be it drinking, be it dissociation in your relationship, be it dissociation in your friend circle, right? I'll turn the camera back round if I can do that. Right? So, look at the situation. Are you drinking too much? Have you lost connection with your friends or family or whatever that might be? Oh, that's a really comfortable tree. Right? So, the way that you look at this is, so if you're drinking too much, that's the problem, right? But to come to terms with the drinking is that Ralph, the drinking was set up to protect you. So you might have had an itch, you might have had an internal itch, and you used alcohol to scratch it, right? Your partner may have left you, and solitude was your healing, but now you find yourself in a place of isolation, right? You might have had a miscarriage, and the fear about losing another baby is paralysing, so that stops you from ever getting pregnant again. You know, if you were a businessman and you were a high roller and you lost your social status because your business had went down, then you put your life on hold and never take any chances again. Feared intimate relationships stop us from moving on, and we stay stuck. If any of this resonates with you, right, it's helpful to accept that your life as it currently is has become stagnant. What are you doing? Me, man, throwing stones about. That your life's became stagnant and that you're stuck. So whatever the negative impact, come on, there's a good boy. Whatever the negative impact you're facing on the outside world, it could all boil down to the same challenge. You've got a challenge with the relationship with yourself and the one that you're in with yourself. Now, we could go and start digging about the ancestral graveyards of our mind. We could go and start being really clever and looking at, well, I'm doing this because of that, or we could look at it cognitively, psychodynamically, of course, that would have us looking at the past and why the past is always present, etc, 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 right? So, first place to begin is to begin in, my life's became stagnant, right? I've lost joy, there's less happiness in my life, my world's not full of creation, there's loads of moaning, there's loads of complaining, I don't trust the people I'm running around with, my relationship, there's no love in it, there's no sex in it, we're just two people coexisting, we've lost the joy. But I'm sure that if you're married and you've got kids, or, you know, even your partner, there was a day when you looked at your partner and you felt love and you felt joy and you felt enthusiasm and you felt all of those things, right? Now that's still there, it's just you're looking in another direction. It's like clients come to me and ask me that they're looking for more money. As well, money circumnavigates the globe, it's absolutely everywhere. It's just you're looking one way and it's going the other way. When you start to face into it, you know, having an idea without taking action, it's never going to work, is it? So, your life became stagnant, and you could go digging up the ancestral graveyard of your mind, looking at really clever reasons and what happens in your childhood, and that's led you on to this, and that's done that. That stuff's all magic, that's indulgent, you can spend a fortune with a psychotherapist looking at that. But right now, if your life's stagnant, it's became unmanageable, you don't have any energy, you're unhappy, you're desperately unhappy, and you feel as if you're in a quicksand of depression and that you're stuck. First step is acceptance. Accepting that you're stuck. And you don't really need to uncover the reason why. That uncovering the reason why can be really enlightening. And on that journey we can learn a lot about ourselves. But if the presenting challenge is unmanageability of one life, the safest place to start is accepting that we're powerless. So we've just got to step into that. Starting point. Always start from the beginning. Always start a journey from where you are. Morning Cam, morning Harvey, Brian Russell, Francis Devine. Good morning. So always start a journey from where you are, not from where you want to be. Right? So see if you're skint, experience that you're skint, but we walk about skint, but we don't want the world to know we're skint, so we walk about as if everything's alright. Okay? Or we start a business and we want that business to be busy, but it's not busy. But we kid on to ourselves that it's busy. Don't start the journey from there. Start the journey from where you are. Always start a journey from where you are, not from where you want to be or where you think you are, because the mind will play tricks in you to stop you feeling vulnerable. So if you were actually to drop into feeling where you were, you would feel vulnerability, right? So within that vulnerability, it's much easier to get down on your hands and knees and look up and say, I'm powerless. Right? You'll have to revisit this many times. I do it all the time. And there's no straight lines. There's only curves, right? So safest place to start, sorry, watch my feet here, is that you're powerless. Now the paradox here is that a power that comes when we're accepting we're powerless. Because what we do is we change the dynamic that we're in with when it's running us rather than us running it. So if the relationship with our wife or our business or our friends or our family or whatever it is that we've got going on, it feels as if we're in that shadow, okay? So when we can turn around and admit that we're powerless to it, we take control back. So the paradox there is that when you can accept that you're powerless, there's a power that comes from accepting this powerlessness, right? Most of what happens in the world is not up to us. In fact, when we try to stay in control, what we're actually holding on to is the illusion of control, right? Oh, goodness. I don't remember this path being as rough. Morning, everybody. Look at that, is that not gorgeous? What a gorgeous path. So most of what happens to us in the world is not up to us. In fact, when we try and stay in control, what we're trying to do is be in control of everything. What we're actually holding on to is the illusion of control. And it's the illusion of control that makes us feel safe, but it's also at the heart of most of our problems, right? It's at the heart of most of our challenges, trying to hold on to this illusion of control. Think of it like this. When we come face to face with something we cannot fix, it feels like we're drowning, so we fight the current and swim harder to get back to what feels like solid ground. But the more we fight, the more exhausted we become, and the further we drift away from what we want. After accepting our powerlessness over the situation, and we have the impetus to say enough is enough, we look at what's important to us, right? So we start to look at our values. We start to look at what our capabilities are, what our weaknesses are, and less important here is that we've admitted we're powerless. So acceptance over our weakness at the moment is all we really need to do before we embark on our call to adventure. Take a note of what's important to you. What can you change within your capabilities, and what are your values? Write all that stuff down here, right? So here, where we're at, right, is we're at the place in The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy, when the movie starts, it was in black and white. Okay, so you're in an ordinary world. Your world that you're currently in, you wouldn't be watching this, you wouldn't be taking notes, you wouldn't be sending me private messages if everything was going rosy for you, right? So these are my suggestions just to start off with it. Now, when your life is in this unmanageable sort of place where there's a lot of unhappiness, right, sadness, to me, that's worse than being skint. I'd rather be skint than that feeling of unhappy, man. I was unhappy for years. It's horrible. It's such a horrible feeling. You always manage to get by when you've not got that much money, but man alive, when you're digging through the trenches of sadness and loss, it's just terrible, right? So where energy goes, energy flows. If you're focusing on that, it's a call for what you have to give rather than what you've got to take. You're looking for something back. Always do the opposite. If God speaks a language, he speaks backwards, right? If God could talk, he talks in paradox. Whatever you feel that you think you should be doing, right, and you're still unhappy, by the mere merit of that, it's not working, right? So do the opposite. Do the polar opposite. So if your relationship, for an example, isn't working, it's because you're trying to take something out of the relationship. That's where you're called to give. Start giving yourself. It's not going to sort. You're the one that sorts that out. It's not going to sort it out, is what I'm trying to say. So what you focus on grows. Now, it's really, really difficult, but the next step, because the first step is really about finalising and concreting where you're at. This is a stage of acceptance that your life's unmanageable, whatever it is, there's unhappiness, you want more happiness. But what we want to do is we want the outer world to provide that for us. When that happens, I'll feel that. No, get up as if your prayers have already been answered. Start doing it now. If you want more, if you're projecting that you want your wife to be more available, right? You become more available. You start giving yourself to your wife rather than waiting for her to give herself to you, because that might not happen. If that's been on for a while, it's not happening. Right, so step one here, we're following the 12. It's a 12-step model. Not necessarily fully of the Alcoholics Anonymous 12 steps, although we do incorporate that in them. But step one is acceptance. We've got to accept our current situation as it is if you want growth. Because without acceptance, what you're doing is you're controlling. And it's the illusion of control. I'm going to leave something with you here, right? Scientifically, if you have a thought, okay, if you have a thought, a sexual thought, there is blood flow goes to your sex organs, right? And that blood flow causes, both in male and female, a swelling of the arteries, which increases pleasure, etc., etc., right? If you're looking at a negative situation, if you're looking at your husband's a pest, or your husband's annoying, or your husband's doing this, or your husband's doing that, or your wife's doing this, or your business isn't doing that, and it's all moaning and complaining, do you think that's an expansive experience or a contractive experience? Right? So it's a contractive experience. So then as you start to look out onto the holodeck that you inhabit, this magical place, this magical world, right, and you're looking at it from a constricted view, all you're going to see and get is constrictive views. Now, if you can, in your imagination, imagine a fantasy of something that's arousing, scientifically we know that blood flow goes to our sexual organs and causes the arteries to swell and cause pleasure. Now, if you feel grateful and feel gratitude and can feel the love of God or the love of your kids or the love of my dog, right? So my wee dog comes up in the morning and it makes me feel love. I feel that in my body. But do I increase it? Do I turn the volume up on it, or do I just kind of let it be a passing thing? So if I can feel the capacity for love and joy, it means that I can strengthen that muscle, right? So neuroplasticity in the brain, rewired and inspired. You've got to do the work. You don't get it for nothing, you know. Mo Farah didn't win the races, and Usain Bolt didn't win the races because he woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, rolled himself a joint and sparked his cell a tinny, did he? No, he got up every morning, hail, rain, snow, excessive sunshine, bright light, and he got in about it, right? That's what this is for. This isn't a dress rehearsal. Life is about getting in about it and achieving all the goals that it is that you want to achieve. Now, they might not need to be financial. They could just be happiness, contentment, love, gratitude, right? But if you've been in a pattern of behaviour where you've been looking at the negative for so long, right, you've strengthened that, right? You've been strengthening that muscle. That's what you're looking at, right? And your realities became very small. Now, albeit, yes, there's truth in saying that there's a complaint in that. That's not the way I want it. What I'm going to suggest is it's not the way you want it consciously, but it's the way that you want it unconsciously, subconsciously, okay? Because there's a safety in it. It's like, it's getting real. Alcoholism, drug addiction, right? Even suicide to a degree is a self-preservation. It's a survival mechanism, okay? It's a protection. It's because the body and the mind at the point of impact of trauma or whatever it was that it felt, it went, I can't face this, I will die. So then the ego or whatever, the external environment offers you a solution. Have a wee line, have a wee smoke, have a wee drink, whatever that might be. That makes us feel better. So initially the pattern of behaviour was set up as a protection mechanism. It's not a negative. But now that you've got the tools and techniques in your bag that you're ready to move on from, it's time that you start to let those go and start looking at other, more holistic, if you like, more safe behaviours that's going to allow you growth, right? So, it's a muscle. If you've been looking at a very small environment, your worlds became very small because it's constrictive, that's going to create a constrictive world. Your husband, whatever it is about your husband or your wife or your business or anything, your friends, whatever you're waiting for them to give you, the paradox here is that you give it to them. You do the exact opposite. You start giving yourself, right? With no conditions. You're not waiting, well, wait a minute, Ross said I'll do that, and then if I do that for 10 or 14 days, that something's going to change. No, that's still control as well. It's like when you let go, you get back. True story. I'd split up with a girl many years ago, right? And I was going through their stuff and I was heartbroken about it, right? And I went, right, I need to let her go. And I was looking at her stuff and etc, etc. And I was in floods of tears and I was greeting and all the rest of it. And I burnt her picture. Honestly, hand in my heart, God is my witness. within 30 minutes she phoned. When you let go, you get back because you create a space, because what you were trying to hold on to was never real, right? It was your constructs of what you were trying to place on your reality, right? So what I'm suggesting that you do here is back to the sexual stuff, back to sensory, sensual. If you think of something that's arousing, a beautiful man, a beautiful woman, and you think about it long enough, blood flow will go to your arteries, right? Blood flow will go down and they'll increase and they'll expand, right? If you dig that and you believe that, then you can do the exact same for just about anything. The next time you have a feeling of love or something that makes you feel all warm inside, press pause, stop, right? Go into your mind, go into that feeling and sit with it. Sit with it for 3 minutes, right? Rather than letting it just be a fleeting second. And what you start to do then is you can start to then, those feelings of joy, gratitude, love, they all come from your heart, right? Now, as it says in the Bible, believe in the Lord God with all your heart and all your mind, right? What he meant by that was when you can get your mind and your heart vibrating in coherence with one another, you are then in a complete place of wholeness, of oneness. There is no separation. And when you're not in separation, you don't want for anything, right? When you're in a dualistic, separated field of consciousness, it's because your heart and your head have split. It's because your heart and your head are disconnected, right? So back to the Bible. You believe in the Lord God with all your heart and all your mind, right? That's about, let's just imagine you can get your head, my head's normally vibrating at, like, say for an example, 30 hertz, right? And let's just say my heart's vibrating at 5, right? I'm in my head a lot of the time, okay? But what I do is what would probably be called alpha theta, right? Is I take myself into a place of alpha theta, which I've trained myself to do through meditation, and it's took me a while, but I've got there now, and I just go away and I allow myself to drift into this spot, and that's where my creativity comes from, right? So then I grab the creativity, I write it down, and then I bring it up into this high frequency, and then I'm busy all day, right? And it's like parasympathetic, sympathetic limbic system. It's like you step in the gas with the sympathetic limbic system, you put the brakes on with the parasympathetic and chill out, right? So during the day, I've got my foot on the gas. I take some time just around about sunset, and I always meditate. When I meditate, I get creativity and I get ideas, okay? Now, nobody can do that for you. It's not like you can pay somebody, you can't employ somebody. If you want it, you've got to go out and you've got to get after it. Okay, so first step, acceptance. Let go of the control, or indeed the way that you want things to be, because if things were the way that you wanted it to be, you would feel all right. Let it go. That's not happening. We're adults. You've got to change it. You've got to give whatever you're moaning or complaining about in your partner. I am suggesting you do the exact opposite. You give to them what you want, because then one way you're taking, right? It's taking. You're taking from your partner rather than giving. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to take from this environment. Don't you think we've took enough from this world? You know, I think we've took enough and raped and pillaged it and destroyed it. It's time we started giving back. It's time we started giving ourselves to it. Okay, so follow the 12. This is step one. Step one is acceptance. Acceptance that your life has become unmanageable because of X, Y, and Z. Right? Have a fantastic day. We'll get on tomorrow. Call to adventure. So if you can sit with that today and you're ready, you're feeling fired up, you're all ramped up, you're willing to do the work, tomorrow we're going to do the call to adventure. Hello everybody. Hi Elaine. Who's in the house? Liz, Carella, wee Zoe. Zoe sent me a lovely message this morning. Morning Kev. Chris Murray, how's it going? Paul Laverty, good morning. Morning Carella, good morning Ross, morning Vicky, morning everybody. Morning Karine, morning Jason. Right guys, everybody, friends, have a fantastic day, and hope that's been helpful. Have a good one. Take it easy. Bye.